Good morning, I'm Charlie Shaw from Estero Gold Vision, and I'm here to talk about some of the enterprise features in Gold Vision that are often used by even the smallest of SMEs these days. Even a 10-man business may have people in China or in Europe, and the lack of features on many products means that it's not simpler, it just means that you have to invent processes, perhaps extra spreadsheets around this. So what do we mean by enterprise features? Well, the characteristic of an enterprise is where there are perhaps more users who are going to be in different teams, potentially in different countries, wanting different languages, with different needs. Team A in country A may be selling different things or doing different things to Team B. And also security rears its head. So what are we going to be covering in this exercise? We're going to be talking about how Gold Vision can dynamically adapt to different people's needs, how we can build in multi-language, culture and currency, how you can make sure that people see only the right information for themselves, how lead management, where you may have a central lead function and you want to get it out to different sales teams, can work well for you, how integrated marketing automation can work, and how we can also take the system to the next level with completely integrated forms and portals, perhaps where a country business isn't in control of a group website. And after that, we'll be having the opportunity for some questions and answers. So I'm going to go out of PowerPoint now and into the product. So what I've got here is a demonstration Gold Vision, and what you can see is that first of all I would go into perhaps a dashboard area. However, what I'm going to do is just focus on dynamic pages to begin with. So if I just go to a list of accounts in Gold Vision, one aspect of having dynamic pages is that they may be different by the type of record. So if I go into this customer record, for example, what you can see on the page is information that I would actually like to see about a customer. So perhaps what have they been buying, and are we quoting them decent amounts? And that's all very well, but Team B or a different type of record, you might not want to have all that information on it. You might want different things. So if I go to my underlying list and find myself a supplier record, for example, here we go, a supplier record, then what you'll see there is that the screen has dynamically changed. So rather than having graphs of sales and quotes and all that stuff, I've got information about the supplier record. A different interpretation of that may well be in the sales area. So perhaps I might have an opportunity at a preliminary level. Perhaps I've got an opportunity at this stage. It's at preliminary level, and what you can see is I've just got basic information on it. Editing that and changing the status of that record, perhaps to proposed, actually now brings in a qualification element to it, and maybe taking it further still to preferred solution means that the approval processes now kick in and workflow can take effect. So how is this all achieved? Well, very easily, in fact. So within the screen designer, one can just take, if I take that account screen, I can just, first of all, create different panels of information, and I can just drag and drop and move them around and create rules, for example. So if I go down to where I have this product sales information, I can configure that and make rules to say only show this information if it's a customer or a key customer. Alternatively, I can configure it to say, okay, only show this information if it's customer team A versus customer team B. So you can see how very easily this could be used for teams with different opportunity or project types in a group. I'm going to cancel that and close that. I don't need to save it. Finally, what you may have seen in terms of dynamic pages is that what I did when I went into these areas is go into a list. And so basically a list of opportunities, that's fine. These are all very flexible, so I can choose what fields I want. I can add and remove columns. I can resize columns on the system, and that's fine. But what I can do is, if I've set up my own views, I can then just publish them either to my own homepage or pin them to a menu, because you may have noticed that the menus themselves can be completely customized by different user teams. So you've got one CRM system across different teams showing different things, but having the same basic set of data. What I've seen with some group systems in the past, some enterprise systems, is that to make sure that the system is gaining some core group information, the requirements of the system have been pared down so much that what you're really getting is just a glorified Rolodex. So if you go back as well, this also applies to dashboards. So I've got a dashboard here that's relevant to me, but what I can do is share other dashboards across the team. So I can create dashboards, I can add in other people's shared dashboards so that I may have different views, but each team is showing the right information for their requirements, but also we're all looking at apples and apples, comparing the same information. We've talked about different teams in different countries, perhaps. That's one area of an enterprise solution that is often underused, and many people get used to having to just use a system in English, or perhaps even in English, different businesses having to share the same language when they don't naturally want to do that. Somebody might call an opportunity, a different part of the group might call it an inquiry. So in language, language is core to Goal Vision. So if I could spell, that would be good. So what I can do is set up different languages in the product. Now, because Goal Vision is often highly customized, having a simple language pack, having a language pack that I might have to pay extra for in the first place, isn't really going to work for me, because I've still got to translate the items that I've created from user-defined fields, and I also want it to work on any device that I'm working on. So we have a simple process here. So if I look at the German language, for example, we have a simple process whereby we can create a new language, export all the data, and you can see here that there's something like 11,500 items on here, because it's including all the system language, all the menus, and everything like that. Google Translate, and the quality of these translation solutions is really positive now. And if you want to then just edit and change and just refine the language, that's great, and your users can help there, and then import them back in, and hey presto, within about 10 or 15 minutes you've got a new language. So if I just show you how that works, and I just change my user details, my user preferences, I might want to have German and view my default currency in euros, for example. I'll leave that one in currency, and I may have a different time zone. So saving that will immediately refresh the solution, so that if I'm now in my accounts list, for example, you can see that it's translated that. And if I go into a record, all the labels have been translated. What I'm going to do now is take this back to English, because I don't think that you will want to continue this in German. So I'm going to take British English. What you can also see here is there's a British English and a US English. So again, even though something may be in the same basic language, no more having to use postcode stroke zip code if you choose to really refine it. Let's talk about currencies and things like that now. So if I talk about currencies, GoalVision is a true multi-currency system. So I can set up different currencies. So if I take a US dollar currency here, and the power behind this is that not only will it just translate on the fly those currencies if I choose to set up a quote in that area, which I'll show in a moment. What you can also do is take some of the subtleties of this, because, for example, if I've got a £100 product and an exchange rate of $1.51, I don't necessarily want to be selling that at $1.51. So I can fix the price in that currency to hit perhaps fixed currency prices, and that makes life a lot easier and more competitive. What I've also got are price lists. So price lists are important. There's quite a move towards simple accounting systems like Xero and things like that, and they just do not have the sophistication for managing perhaps different customer price bands or individual customer price bands. So GoalVision has got this functionality built into it. You can set up price bands and then set them either at the quote level or setting up specific exclusive price lists that can be linked to what we call financial entities. And I'll talk about financial entities in a moment, because what we also have with financial entities are, it's quite common practice now for businesses to use, group businesses to use a single CRM because they want to enjoy all the benefits of cross-selling and upselling, but they still have separate individual company finance systems. And so what you can do in GoalVision is set up financial entities with multiple financial system integrations. So company one might integrate with financial entity number one, and company number two might link with a different finance system. How's that put into practice? Well, it's easy. You can set up accounts either to automatically defer to company one or to company two. Alternatively, what I can do is just set up a quote, and I've got these options available to me. So I can say, well, this is going to be for company one or two, and when that gets integrated with the finance system, perhaps that's one and sent through as a sales order, it will know which system to work with. It may be that I want to send individual price lists, and of course I can set currency at that level. So again, really powerful functionality, which means that you don't have to get round the system. While we're on the subject of getting around the system, people want their users only to see what they should see. And so we have user access options. Now, some of this is for the purpose of simplicity, because this system has got everything available to it here, and it's a long list. And obviously what you want to do is restrict that view for your users. So what we have here is the ability to just very simply at a team level just decide what aspects of the system they are allowed to see. And you'll see here that GoalVision already includes many things that standard CRM systems don't include in the core systems. Things like events, things like projects, things like sites, not common on standard CRM systems. So you can set up easy access options for users, and you can see whether they're allowed to not just see things, but whether they're allowed to edit them. And then if you choose to, you can refine them down by individual users as well. Now that's fine, but what does it mean in practice? It's not just what aspects of the system, but what records. This is especially important when you're dealing with perhaps regional teams or different company teams even though you may be wanting to use the system for cross-selling and upselling, you don't want all the data to be available to every user. So if I just go into an account record here, one of the things that you can see is that we've got security under here, and an account can be public, in which case everybody's allowed to see it, perhaps a group supplier. Team-based, in which case it's visible to the account manager, the basic owner of this account, and their team. Or private, in which case it's limited to the account manager. Now, I'm a system administrator. I get to look across the whole group here. Now, that's fine, and we've also got the concept of membership as well, so your user membership. So it may be that whilst I'm not allowed to see those accounts for a different group, it may be that I'm a specialist in a product or something like that. So somebody can just make me a member of that account, in which case I get to see it, but I don't get to see all their other accounts. Now that's fine, but what about where you do get this shared account situation? And so what I can do here is I can go down into the next level, and I may have an opportunity or a project where the security is also available at that level. So it may be that I've got an account that is shared across multiple teams, but I don't want then the teams to see each other's opportunities or each other's projects. And by granting perhaps team access or private access to those opportunities means that I'm going down to the next level, and also all the activities, notes and quotes underneath that opportunity, for example, are also made invisible to users that shouldn't get access to them. I'm going to hit lead management now because it's an important area for more sophisticated businesses that may have perhaps a centralized function. So I'm just going to go into a particular lead list, and continuing the discussion about security, one of the key things is that leads are very sensitive. So again, we've got the security model built into lead lists. So you don't want your leads to be visible across the organization and stolen by perhaps users that shouldn't have access to them. So again, lead lists can be public, team, or private. If I go into the actual records as well, what you also want to do is potentially assign records across the team. And what I can do is I can filter a list, and perhaps I can filter it. I've got not a lot of sensible stuff set up here, but perhaps by country or town or by product area or things like that people have filled in on web forms. And then what I can do there is bulk assign leads or individually assign leads to users or teams. And I can then use some really sophisticated sales processes for just drip feeding leads to a team, especially if you've signed up to perhaps databases. So continuing in the area of sales and marketing, then one aspect of this is the fact that we've got a complete cycle of the solution for people. So we can work all the way from identifying people who are clicking onto your website using third-party tools, all the way through listening, social media listening, all the way through to adding records automatically through leads, moving them through the CRM system, and marketing to them. So if I go into the area of marketing, then we have a powerful campaigns area, and I'm just going to focus on one area. This is just the briefest of overviews. Of course, what you can do is talk to us and get more information on each area. So I've got a simple campaign here. It's actually got two stages. I've sent out some communications. There's been one run. It's visible in my email system here. I can see what's happened there, but actually it's sent that information right back into your system, so I can see who's clicked on what, who's opened things, and with the automation functions now, I can then automatically create follow-up runs for people to create activities and things like that. So that information is completely integrated with the data in the system. So what you can see here is I've got lists that are coming from the live system. So I'm not having to export data, and these data sources are continually updated and can be just drag and dropped to be inclusion or exclusion sources. And what you're getting back into the system is a clear set of numbers in terms of how that's been doing, and then at the actual overall campaign level, analysis in terms of return on investment, how much what are we doing in terms of open opportunities or bookings against this campaign. So we're getting the full area of sophistication here. I'm just going to go into one extra area here, because one of the key areas of enterprise systems is that businesses sometimes spend a huge amount of money integrating all aspects of their marketing environment. And one other aspect of enterprise systems, even mid-market systems, is if they are part of a parent group, sometimes they don't have control over a website. And so creating landing pages or forms is a painful process. But with GoldVision, this area is still under development, but I'm going to give you a peek into it. We've got portal management, where I can just go into a solution within GoldVision and publish areas. So I can create a new space, and I might want to just create a page. In this case, I might want to create a standalone page, like a lead form, for example. And what I can do with that is to just actually create a lead form, or potentially create a whole portal page, like for example, like a support portal. These are all template portals that you can just build into the system and create a portal in minutes rather than hours, and then integrate it with your website without having to get group support. So what I've done here is just give you a flavor of some of the enterprise features in GoldVision. I'm not trying to show you everything that GoldVision can do, but please feel free to contact us for some more detailed information on this. We'd be delighted to give you a more personalized demonstration of GoldVision. Now we have time for question and answers, but I'm stopping the recording at this time. So I'll just take this point in time to thank you all for attending.